And we're
All
ready to
right.
start the meeting.
All right. So yeah, I was just saying, welcome everyone. Hopefully this will be a fairly quick conversation and we can get to a conclusion. But before we as we formally get started here, Terry, you want to call the roll call? I know everybody is joining via Zoom today, so go ahead and say your presence when Terry calls you out.
Sounds good. Seth Barnes,
Here.
Dave Bugney,
Present.
Adam Coble. He was here and he was having some connection difficulties, but he should be back momentarily. Stacy Detweiler,
Present.
Julie Furman. Do not see Julie on here. Okay. Wendy Kerlock.
Present.
Kate Wells. I do not see her here either. Casey Kula.
Present.
Jason Robeson.
Present.
Josh Seeds.
Present.
Amanda Sullivan Astor.
Present, and I'm on the road, so just giving you guys a heads up.
All right, thank you. And then Will Tucker.
Also absent at this time.
Right. Okay, and then I normally have a slideshow, but there's really not a whole lot. It's the next couple slides would just be a reminder in terms of the housekeeping. Keep your mic off except for when you're speaking, and then public comment. We have a few members of the public here. If anybody wants to share anything.
Yeah, let's do public comment right now if there is any. Give you a second. Hearing none, let's move into the business of the meeting, Terry.
Yep. And really that's working on this package of questions and contextual information for the amphibians that was sent out on Monday, April the 14th. And Sarah is filling in for Emily today. Thank you, Sarah. And she's got the document pulled up and ready to work on it as you folks converse. So I'll hand it back to you, Seth.
Yeah, well, I guess the best way to step through this, I mean, I just skimmed through it, Terry. It looked very much what I expected it to look like. Can you explain any sort of tweaks, changes, substantive additions or subtractions that were done?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot to it. Probably easier, Sarah, if you could scroll down to section B. I made a few changes in track changes. For the most part, there's not much substantive. Two people said they were fine with this. A lot of people I didn't hear from. And then Wendy and Stacy had a few extra suggested edits that were relatively straightforward. They're a little bit further down.
You want to scroll back up? You want to scroll back up to that track changes that was under section B?
Oh yeah.
And
go ahead.
So I'm assuming you just cited the rule in there. Is that what was added?
Yes. So with the addition, this was originally drafted for just questions 1 and 2. With the addition to the effectiveness question, the type of research, it expands it to be more than just research and inquiry, but also effectiveness monitoring type.
Okay, keep going down then. And then Stacy, you want to explain the edit that you
I don't think I'm trying to remember if I had an edit. There was just like a plus rules that I just wasn't sure what that meant.
That was a typo. I fixed it.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
And I don't think, did I have anything else, Terry? I
Well,
don't remember.
there's the further down there was I think it was under probably B. Well, Wendy had suggested it there under C for under B3 sub C.
Why did that just jump?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Sorry, that's me. One second.
Right, that part there, rule effectiveness, how various rules. So I added that as as an objective, the rule effectiveness, and then Wendy added this part in persistence of those amphibians populations. And I want to note for the record that Adam Coble is now here.
Thank you. Wendy, where did you get this language that you added in there?
Well, the rule effectiveness came from Terry, and the persistence of the amphibian populations. That language is like links back to the report. I can't cite it directly, but my thought was just to link it into the broader goal, because of course habitat is a goal, but the ultimate goal is persistence of the covered species. Does that make sense? So the blue language, I didn't add all of it. I just added persistence, or suggested adding persistence of those amphibian populations.
Yeah, I totally understand the idea, and I'm just trying to think through the HCP. We in all of the language of the HCP, we worked hard to ensure that we're threading that needle of what we can control and what we can't control. We control the habitat. We don't necessarily control the entire amphibian population because we don't control every parameter that would go into maintaining an amphibian population. We control levers on certain properties, but not all levers everywhere for the species. So I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Hey, this is Casey. To Seth's concern, the landowners regulated by the OFPA still have a responsibility, as long as there's an HCP, I believe, I'm choosing my words carefully, to do things that affect the persistence of the amphibian populations that are on their land and covered by their activities, right?
To do things that would help, absolutely, but to ensure persistence of a population, not necessarily. And so, for example, I'll use
clarify, it doesn't say ensure.
I guess if I can jump in, I thought I had taken this from somewhere. So it's on
that's what I was wondering.
Under page on 7.3.4, adaptive management on the report, page 121. It says how the current and proposed rules for private forest land impact persistence of populations. So I took it from 7.3.4, adaptive management of the Accord report. It's at the top of page 121.
Yeah, and so the difference there in the wording is how the riparian and unstable slopes protections, so how the protections themselves in the proposed rules impact the persistence of the populations, right? So this just says how various rules affect the habitat Columbia and persistence of those amphibian populations, not linking the habitat provisions to the persistence of the population. So you see what I'm saying? So we're not looking. So we're looking at the linkage between what we're doing for the habitat and how that affects the amphibian or aids the persistence of the amphibian populations, not necessarily just amphibian populations for amphibian populations. And the difference is, like, if we have, if nobody does anything, you have a control basin where nothing is done. There's no manipulation of habitat, and yet you have a population that's going down because of some other factor. That doesn't necessarily mean that the forest practices there are wrong or bad. It like there are other factors, right? So I think a slight variation of this might work. I'm not trying to say it's a good catch to make sure that this matches, but let's make sure it matches is all I'm saying. And Stacy, you have your hand up.
Yeah, and maybe this is where you're going, Seth. Maybe it's just sort of I think that sentence could be read to what you're saying, but to be even more clear, maybe for that clause, it's highlighted and how identified rules affect persistence of those amphibian populations,
There you go.
just to be super, super clear.
Mm.
Wendy, does that? I think
That
that's
works.
what.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that works for me.
All right. Thank you. I think that clears up. Okay, you want to, unless other people want to discuss this one, we can continue to go through. All right. So Stacy or Terry, you were taking us to where Stacy maybe had an edit
I
below.
went back to look at my notes. It wasn't an edit. I was just responding at, like, way at the bottom of the document. Terry had a question around when and how AMC will send the IRST a list of rules to be addressed with anticipated delivery by, and then there's sort of a question. So my proposal was just to say in 2025 to leave ourselves a little bit of wiggle room if it's the summer or the fall. I don't think that that's super substantive. Oh yeah, you included that. Yeah, so that was just my only, unless we want to give a particular date, but that just gives us some flexibility.
Yeah, good.
And I think that was it from me.
Amanda, you have your hand up. Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting gas, so I'm not driving right now. But just to the rule effectiveness piece, just trying to track along here. I think the way that I would prefer maybe that language would be for to me the rule effectiveness is tied to the commitments in the HCP. So tying it more towards the BGOs or what is expected to come from those rules for the purposes of the federal services, rather than tying it to kind of this pre-HCP language that was in the report. To me, that's our responsibility, is for effectiveness and how effectiveness should be measured, rather than kind of the specific language that was maybe in the report. And I don't have language to submit or suggest at this time because I don't have a keyboard with me. But I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I don't know, Seth, if there, or Stacy, if you guys might have some suggestions there. You guys are obviously way more engaged on the HCP and the BGO conversation than me. So, I mean, is that how you guys understand sort of rule effectiveness? I mean, we're going to have a larger conversation for this when we get into effectiveness monitoring, but to me, that's the link.
What if in this section, we just tied this right back to the language that's here? In fact, what if we said rule effectiveness? So going to that place that you quoted on page 121, the top paragraph in the report, what if we said, because it uses the words impact. What if we just said, how various rules, so you can use various rules rather than the specific ones that talked about here, on private land, forest lands, impact persistence of the populations, full stop. Or impact the persistence of amphibian populations.
Sorry if that's too small. I just put it in the comment there so we can look at it typed out.
Yep, I like that. I'd much rather use language that's already provided and consistent than slightly altered language.
Yeah, I think that gets it. What we're called to do. Sorry, not in a religious sense, in a why we're here.
Not Sunday,
okay.
Casey. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's very clearly linked to the report, and yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for taking us through those adjustments here, Amanda. As long as you're still getting gas, I'll let you talk. But no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I am. But I just one maybe quick edit on that. If you go back to that rule effectiveness, sorry. But I'm curious if people would be how people feel about maybe changing it from various rules to identified rules or something like that.
Yeah, I support that, Amanda, because I think that that's more clear to where we're going with that particular question.
And we know
Yeah,
that we're going to identify them, and that maybe even like prompts the question of like, oh, well, you know, because we've got other language in there that says we're going to work with them on identifying exactly what those rules are. So I just feel like various is a little too open-ended for me.
Good with me.
Yep. Good edit. Okay, now back to the general document. Any other discussion we need to have? If not, then I would be open for a motion.
I so move that we adopt this package.
So Jason, I'll second.
I do
Alright,
have
we have a-
pre-drafted motion language that I can pull up. Let's see if that matches what you're
Sure.
talking about.
Sure,
I
go
think,
ahead.
Sarah, you can stop sharing this. Give me 10 seconds here.
We'll make sure that your written motion matches what Wendy had in mind and what Jason seconded.
Yes, so the motion says, the DAP Management Program Committee approves the amphibians question package as edited during the April 18th, 2025 meeting. to send to the independent research and science team as soon as possible. Is that?
Yes, that matches
And-
my
and-
motion.
Yeah, that looks good. That includes the edits that we just did on this April 18th.
Okay.
Any discussion to be had? Excellent. Are you ready to vote then? Terry, go ahead and call the list.
Sure. Seth Barnes,
Yes.
Dave Budney,
Yes.
Stacy Detweiler,
Yes.
Julie Furman is absent. Wendy Gerlach,
Yes.
Casey Kula,
Yes.
Jason Robeson,
Yes.
Josh Seeds,
Yes.
Amanda Sullivan Astor,
Yes.
and Will Tucker looks like he's still absent as well. So that's 8-4, none opposed. So the motion carries.
With two voting members absent, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Which still works, I
Yep.
think. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, there you have it. Thank you, everyone. I don't know if there's any more wrap up we need to do. Terry?
I guess the only question, just to get some clarity about moving the information, as I understand it, the information, well, it looks like Josh Seeds has a question.
Yep, Josh raised his hand right as I was asking it. Go ahead, Josh.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead, Terry. Mine's more of a good of the order thing.
Okay. My understanding is that in terms of there's more information to pass to the IRST regarding the question 3 sub questions. And I want to confirm that I should work with ODF subject matter experts to get to the list of potential rules that could apply and bring that back to you folks to say yay and nay to them. And then, so that's the first part. And then my understanding also is that there's nothing in addition to that that's in terms of information for the IRC. These are the rules in terms of information to come from you to the IRST, you folks.
If I was tracking everything you were saying there, Terry, I don't believe. I mean, I think that would the next steps. I think I would like to have with this, and I'm open to others' thoughts here as well. But it seems to me that what's ripe here is maybe a conversation for the co-chairs of this. So Stacy and I are reaching out to IRST co-chairs, talking to them about what we're forwarding so that they kind of get the lay of the land and what we intended with question 1, 2, and 3, where we're at with question 3 in terms of some of the ambiguity, and then what we think what we collectively could come up with in terms of ideas of helping to move this along at a joint meeting. That question 3, what kind of information or discussion would be useful for a discussion at a joint meeting. And so I don't know that hurrying to come up with a list of rules would necessarily get us a long way yet. I'm not opposed to coming up with a list of rules, but I feel like that might be a little bit cart before the horse conversation. So I don't know. Stacy, thoughts?
Yeah, I think, and we can discuss the exact timeline of this, but I guess I do think it's appropriate, Terry, to flag this for staff and have them sort of start thinking about it and start pulling that together. I don't think that that requires a decision on our end, but rather gives AMC information, whether it's our June meeting or September or whenever we decide to pick it back up again, that we can look at what ODF as the subject experts and rule experts have pulled for us to review. So I think we're kind of saying the same thing. I guess I'm not worried about having ODF starting that work, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that too. I just, in my mind, I don't think the next step is necessarily jumping right to which rules. I almost want to have a conversation first. There's like an interim conversation I think that needs to happen, but that can happen while staff is pulling together rules too.
Yeah.
That's probably fine.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Josh, what was your good of the order?
Well, so we've sent the hydrologic connectivity package and are having some back and forth on that. We've sent the Eastern Oregon steep slope package and have had some back and forth on that. And now we've sent the amphibians package as of a few minutes ago. So that's the big three identified in the PFA report and the enabling legislation. So I just wanted to take a second to say that's a milestone. I think everyone in this group and the ODF staff who support us should be proud of that, and that I'm really happy. I'm really pleased to be part of such a good group of people that come from a lot of interests and all manage to get together and talk stuff out, even if it takes us a while sometimes to come to compromise and agreement. And I just think that needs to be acknowledged, and I think I'm delighted to work with each and every one of you.
Thanks, Josh. Second that. It's been a lot of work over the last couple of years, and it's a good reminder to pause and realize that we have just accomplished something. So appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. I mean, just looking at that, amphibians is such a broad scope. So just echoing, I'm also really proud of this group that we've been able to kind of come together on some pretty key issues, and we're able to advance some really good questions on amphibians with some clarity we're going to still work on, but it's a really solid start. So thanks, everyone.
So I guess also for the good of the order, just to let everybody know, this last week there was a couple of hearings that occurred with the Ways and Means where the adaptive management program, our program that we're a part of, was very much in the spotlight and in the conversation at the legislature. So as you all know, and as we reported last time, there is no funding for the adaptive management program in this year in what's proposed to be the next biennial state budget. That said, I after all the conversation Stacy and I and our collective groups and Casey have had with legislators, I truly believe that will not be the way this session ends. That we will have money in our budget, but to report out on where things stand as of today and the conversations that happened this week, the subcommittee for natural resources of the Joint Ways and Means committee convened on Tuesday and had an informational hearing just around the PFA. If any of you would like to look at that, you can find it. It's recorded under their on the OLIS website. But Oregon Department of Forestry, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife both presented, did a good job talking about the programs and the milestones. Just for note for this group, in the back and forth and discussion amongst legislators during that hearing, there was question about the adaptive management program and what funding is being proposed by the governor and what funding is necessary. And there was what I thought was very important back and forth was what were these programs funded at last time? And there was some conversation, at least a comment that was made that we need some funding here. And so I think that it's trending in a positive direction for us. And like I said, my reading of the tea leaves, there will be funding attached. I would guess, but right now, again, things as it still stands, it's not there. But we'll keep our fingers crossed, keep working to that end towards the end of session. So anything you would add there, Stacy?
I don't think so. Yeah, I covered it a lot of good work and us being able to move through all these things. And we're, our next meeting, I think we're going to talk about that research agenda and how to sort of finalize that for the board. So just exciting that we're really hitting those milestones and we'll be able to come with a pretty solid package. So thank you all for your work.
And with that, I think we have reached the end of the agenda. Appreciate everyone's conciseness and work to get here. We were hoping we'd be able to keep this meeting shorter than an hour, and look at that, 35 minutes. That's pretty good. Good job, everyone. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the sunshine.
Thanks,
Great
everyone.
job.
Bye,
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you. And good job, everyone. Thanks, Terry.
Yep, thank you.
Terry, are we hopping